Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Community Platform on UCTV. Today we're delighted to have someone from Beirut, but before I introduce this young man, let's just look at some of the background information. We're interested in the huge explosion that happened on the 5th of August. Two huge explosions, devastating. Some people said it reminded them of the Nagasaki Hiroshima atomic bomb that went off. If I can just explain that if you look at Lebanon, some people say it's the size of Devon and Cornwall together. Lebanon is hosting approximately 1.5 million refugees. That is on top of its own population. So one can imagine the size and how many people that there are. And I think we're interested in how this explosion has impacted the lives not only of the refugees, but also, of course, the local population. We have Syrian refugees, you have Palestinian refugees, and it's one of the I think it's one of the countries that hosts the most refugees. Today we have a young man, Mustafa Al-Haj, who is the founder and the general director of Toyur Al-Amal schools in Lebanon. His background is education. He's a qualified teacher, graduated from the University of Damascus in Syria. He left Syria due to the difficulties and the war, came to Lebanon, where, of course, as Syrian, he was very interested in how Syrian refugees were faring in another country, and he set up a school, Toyur Al-Amal School for Syrian refugee children. His school started with approximately 300 children. Today, in 2020, he has over 3,000 refugee children in his school. It's quite a fate, actually. So how does he do it? How does he run? I think we're interested in asking him not only about his own self, how did the explosion impacted his life, but the lives of those people. So you have refugees from both Palestine and Syria. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Mustafa.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, sister. How are you doing?
I'm not too bad.
I'm so happy that you're giving me the chance to speak on behalf of the people here, on behalf of the Syrian refugees, on behalf of the vulnerable people in Lebanon, so that maybe the people listen to the call, listen to my voice, listen to the pain here in Lebanon. Thank you so much for giving me the chance.
Not at all. It's our pleasure. UCTV welcomes you, and I'm sure that we will hopefully get you back. But you're in Lebanon. You're a refugee yourself. You set up schools for the refugees' children. Tell me, how did you start to set up? Because you were a refugee yourself. Where did you get the confidence and the strength to say, okay, I'm going to do something for the Syrian children?
Well, it's a longer story. It started in 2011 when the Syrian Pride and Syrian Revolution started in Syria. As you know, 100,000 Syrian people were killed and died because of the current war, which it didn't stop. So, as a Syrian citizen, the war started between two parties: the regime from one side and the people who are asking for freedom and asking to achieve their goals in the other hand. So, at the beginning, I started as a protester in Syria and Damascus. At that time, to live in Damascus, that means you should be careful because, the regime control all the part of Damascus. So at that time, I was asked to join the army. This in Syria, we have something which you should serve the army for 2 years and a half, obligatory, not optional to you. So to join the army means like as if you are committing suicide in Syria. So I decided to leave Syria because after the war started, the Syrian people started to fight each other. That means to be in both parties, you should be use the weapon and to kill people, innocent people. So the best decision was for me is to leave Syria at that time. And the first I came to Lebanon here, and the plan was to leave to other countries in Europe or in the USA. So I was contacting the embassies here. Mm-hmm. However, after 20 days being in Lebanon, my brother-in-law died in Syria, and he left 8 children with my sister. So I found myself at that time I should do something for my family at the beginning, where I would take care of my sister because I raised as an orphan for my life. So I didn't want the experience of my mother to be repeated with my sister. So I asked my sister to come, and at that time I started to commit myself to the schools here. So I worked as a teacher in one of schools here, but unfortunately that happened in 2012, just to be accurate in the days. So when I worked as a teacher, many things changed my mind because working with these vulnerable children means that you should take care of them. You should be the father, the mother. You should be everything for them. And I was surprised by how the people were using the Syrian war to achieve goals, which is not good. So I've decided to work for the first year, 2012, with one of the charities which they didn't like their agendas, I didn't like what they were doing with the children. So I decided to set my own work, and that was a kind of, let's say that it's a big decision in my life where I depended on Allah and I prayed istikhara for many days. Alhamdulillah, then I decided to go in this path and this direction. So the first year of my starting, I depended on the people in the community. The children loved me, the people. So that gives me a trust that I can do it. Alhamdulillah, with my friends who are with my communication with my friends in different countries, I started Tuyur al-Amal school, which means in Arabic, birds of hope school. In English, the translation of the birds of hope. So even the name itself has a story where the children themselves choose the name by election. We made a voting for the children to choose the name of their school. And the story started at 2013, where I depended on my community to have a teacher to volunteer with me to work and to put a philosophy for the school and to work hard to achieve all of the commitments in the school. Alhamdulillah, with tawfiq from Allah, I could finish the first year, although many challenges came to my way, the financial things, the Lebanese community, the racism in the area where I was living. Alhamdulillah, we could pass all of the challenges. In the next year, we got a good reputation in the area where many other children wanted to join our school, which became for them like a shelter, like a kind of a small community in itself, where the children play together, learn together, interact with their teachers. The teachers were loving the children and offering all of kind of social and psychological support to them. And at that year, I depended on Kuwaiti charitable schools and Kuwaiti generous people to donate and to fund the school. And the number like dramatically exceeds to 1,000 children at 2014, 2015.
So,
The
brother,
next year, more children. Yes.
yeah, brother Mustafa,
You hear me?
it's a fantastic,
Yeah, yeah.
fantastic piece of work that in 8 years you moved from 300 children to 3,000 children that you are looking after.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is a successful story, but the explosion that happened on the 5th of August, how has that impacted your work and, impacted the local people as well as the refugees? What is
Well,
happening? Because they say that, over 300,000 people have lost their homes. So what kind of an impact? The government, I believe that the Lebanese government resigned because, and the people are very angry. So how is that impacting the life of ordinary Lebanese people as well as the refugees?
Well, 2020, this year was very strange and very dear to the people here in Lebanon, where it started the collapsing of the economy and also the coronavirus. The protests in Lebanon started at the beginning of the end of the 2019 to the beginning of the 2020. So the explosion came many people were died, many people were became refugees inside Lebanon, and right now after the resignment of the government, the people here are somehow they need more to achieve more things in Lebanon here. So. Unfortunately, the people, I visited Beirut 3 days ago to the place of the explosion. You can imagine the huge explosion and what affected from the buildings, from the people who are now their houses are destroyed. So all kind of. All I can say that it's very sad what happened in Beirut. We are living in Tripoli, which is two hours from Beirut, but we are doing our very best to help the people there in our own possibilities and in our own humble possibilities in the school and from the staff I have. We are planning to go to Beirut in the next 2 days to make a volunteer group and volunteer staff from the students, from the teachers, to help in cleaning the streets and helping the families if we can. And now that you can say that after the explosion, that these people are lost in what they will do. As I told you, it's Lebanon. It's already had the economy which is collapsed. So just seeing the explosion and the place of the explosion, it's heartbreaking, and it made me sad of seeing this kind of huge explosion in this beautiful place, which is Beirut into the very, very beautiful city. And I can say that 50 people from Syrian refugees were died, which means nearly a quarter or over 35% of the died people are from Syrian refugees. So this means that the refugees are affected the same like Lebanon. As you mentioned, Lebanon is a very small country with 10,000 square kilometers. It has now 7 million people living in this very small place, and you can imagine how many people. This is the official report from the government, which say that 150 people were died. But what I've seen that the dead people are over this number.
What we're going to do now, Brother Mustafa, we're going to take a short break for about 1 minute. I will come back to you in 1 minute. If you just stay, and
Okay.
I'll be back in 1 minute with you. We'll take a
Okay.
short break. Please
I'm
don't
fine.
go. Don't go away. Join me within the next 60 seconds. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to Community Platform UCTV. We have Brother Mustafa Al-Hajj from Lebanon. He's talking to us about the life for refugees, not only for just refugees, but of course life for ordinary people in Lebanon. And one of the things that, one of the questions that I would like to ask, welcome back Brother Mustafa, are you okay?
I'm okay. I'm with you, sister.
I think I will practice some Arabic with you. كيف حالك?
Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah, sister.
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah. Fadl min Allah Azza wa Jalla. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. Your English is much better than my Arabic. But one of the questions I wanted to ask you, Brother Mustafa, that we have a lot of Syrian refugees in UK, and I have met quite a few families, and one of the things they always said to me, their life in Lebanon as refugees was very difficult, very, very difficult. What are the difficulties that the refugees have to go through in Lebanon? Is it not having enough jobs? Is it not having enough, appropriate accommodation? What are the difficulties?
Well, let's say that Lebanon, as you mentioned, is a small country, so the people feel like we are not refugees, so they are dealing with the situation as not refugees. So, for example, the biggest challenge for refugees themselves here is to find a job. So, in many different countries and around Lebanon and around Syria, as a refugee, you can work. The government supports you to offer a job. But here, the Syrians are not allowed to work as in any official or any like private places. So to find a job is something very, very difficult. For example, for us, our initiative depends on ourselves, not in the government or in the Lebanese themselves. So this is what we say that the majority of refugees are like struggling for to survive here. So the first thing, like the house rent is very expensive. As an average, like to live in a very small house means like you should pay $300, and to have like to live in a very simple places, like you should your income will be between $600 to $1,000. Which refugees they don't have all of such things as I mentioned because they are not allowed to work in different jobs. They are allowed to work in kind of agriculture, in buildings, in real estate, like something like this. Let's say agriculture, the first thing.
So much more manual. Yeah, it's much more manual work. It's very difficult. This is exactly what we are told.
This is the first thing. The second thing, the majority, I'm sorry to say this, of Lebanese people are racist with the Syrians themselves. So they are classifying the Syrian as a second class. So dealing with the Syrian in this way means like you will find a lot of problem with the social connection between the communities here. So this is the second thing. The third thing, the residence waiver to be legal in Lebanon means like it should be sponsored by one of Lebanese, which means the majority of Syrian are not illegal. I mean, when they are like going to their work, going to their houses, they are threatened to be caught by the checkpoint, by the army to go to the prison and to the jail for maybe they release them. So like this kind of many bad things. And the most dangerous thing for the Syrian is education. For example, I have been working with the refugees since I've started in education. Like Lebanon hosted over 1,200,000 Syrian refugees. 400,000 of them are students in their school ages. So the government, as they declare or as they mention, that they are teaching with the support of UNICEF 200,000, and that number is not correct, by the way.
Yeah.
Let's say that it's correct as they declare. But we have over 200,000 children who are outside of the school doors. You can imagine this generation, which is they have been here for 8 years without education. So it's very, very dangerous.
Yeah, we also heard that young Muslim women, the Syrian women, have gone into a very different kind of work on the street because they can't get a job. They have to feed their family. But tell me something. How is an ordinary person coping in Lebanon after the explosion, particularly for those people whose houses have been destroyed? Is the government providing any aid to these people? Because winter is now, I don't know about Lebanon, but we are already preparing for winter in UK. Mind you, we have 12 hours of winter in a year. But is the government helping those people whose houses have been completely destroyed? Hello, Brother Mustafa, are you with us? Hello? I think we seem to have lost him.
Yes, I hear you, sister.
Oh, you can hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. You hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. The question.
Yes, I do. I hear you, sister.
Yeah, the question I was asking
Yes.
how is the government helping those people who have lost their homes because of the explosion last week?
Well, I mean, let's say that the government, is not trusted by the people, so they didn't tell the moment do any action to the people here. But what I can say, the charities and NGOs and the people themselves, a kind of coherence between the people and the many houses, for example, here in the north, hosted from the people who are affected. So, by the explosion. So the government didn't work for a moment. I didn't hear the government is resigned. The government themselves, I mean the people who are the authorities and the government, like the people don't like them. I mean,
sure.
Don't trust them. This is what's here. So they are depending on the initiative and charities and NGOs who are helping from outside to help the affected people by the explosion, to offer houses, for example, in other places, or to fix the corruption which is happened in their houses in Beirut.
Yeah. You just mentioned a few minutes ago that there are 200,000 children who cannot access education. Are these 200,000 children refugees, Syrian refugees, or are they children, Lebanese children, Palestinian children? Are there any particular, or are they just Syrian children?
No, Syrian children, because President sister from Palestinian community, UNRWA is helping them, So the number of refugees in Lebanon who are from Palestinian community are less than the Syrians. So there's no problem with education, but I'm mentioning the certain community, refugees, where we have over 200,000 children outside of the school doors. For this reason, I'm working my very best to help as possible as I can from Syrian children to go back to the school and to have a meaningful education in my schools, alhamdulillah.
At the moment, does Lebanon doesn't have a government? Because we hear that the government resigned.
Well, the same people are still, but they consider are resigned, but they are still willing to have a new government, and that's sure when it will stop. Just to be honest, I'm not sure when the second, because they didn't mention in the news so far, because 2 days ago the retirement happened. So till the moment we don't have any news about the new government when it will start. But they are depending on the old ones to run things in the government.
Okay, we've got literally a couple of minutes. Tell me, how can people outside of Lebanon help people like you? Because you're doing absolutely amazing work, from 300 to 3,000 children in 3 schools. That's an amazing piece of work. How can people outside help you?
Well, I mean, as an initiative from the government, they are preferring to be supported by the government, which means they are asking the outside people to donate to the government directly, and the government will help the children. And that's through the 8 years they failed to help the children, but because they are corrupted people, the majority of them, so the money doesn't go direct to the refugees. So in case of my initiative, I was depending on the quality charitable schools for last years to fund my schools, but unfortunately also they from last year, and I am depending now to have tuition from children, from the parents who are able to pay, and to depend on my friends outside to make a kind of fundraiser, and the people who are able to help and donate to the school to keep the school running, because the school costs so huge, and the goal of the school education and offering a sustainable work for the Syrian refugee teachers, Palestinian refugee teachers, and Lebanese, where we have over 125 teachers in 3 schools. We have so many of them are from Lebanese and Palestinians. So
yeah, I know that.
The job for
I know that.
It needs a huge resources.
I know that you have a project. The last few minutes, I know that you have a project which is sponsor an orphan child through education. I think if I remember correctly, it's about $250 for the whole year. So maybe that's something that we could look at. Brother Mustafa, the time has come where I don't want to say goodbye, but I'm afraid that time is up. Thank you so much for your time. I'm very grateful to you for taking time out. I know you're a very busy man. I hope that we can get you back and look at your project, look at the project you're working. And if anybody's interested in finding out about the schools, they can contact UCTV, and we can put you in touch with Brother Mustafa. Brother Mustafa, Jazakallah khair for your time. Inshallah, please remember all of us and UCTV in your duas, and to those our audience.
Inshallah, sister.
Thank you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for
Jazakallah khair, sister, you and your team, the people who are listening now to my call. I would like to thank in behalf of my community, you and Brother Elias, and all of the people who are donating to help the school and to help the community here, because the needs are so huge. And I'm sure that whatever donation can help to save the lives of the people, to save the future of the children. I know that you are doing very best with me here from your TV. I would like to thank you, to thank your mother, and you are always in our dua. I ask my students and my teachers for the great job you are doing with Brother Elias, and the people who are donating to help me to keep my schools and to keep my work running. جزاك الله عنا كل خير. شكرا Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa
Alhamdulillah.
barakatuh.
Jazakallah khair, and thank you so much for your very kind words. Thank you so much. And for the audience, if you need to find out more about the work that Mustafa Al-Haj is doing in Lebanon with the children education, as I said, call us or write to UCTV and we'll put you in touch with him. Until next week, please look after yourself, be safe, and I will inshallah see you next week.
Inshallah.
Until then, Jazakallah khair.